Now, tens of thousands of people in Pakistan have rallied in support of schoolgirl Malala Yousafzai, who was shot by the Taliban. Prayers were held during the demonstration in the country's largest city of Karachi. The Taliban says it shot the 14-year-old because her campaign for education was pro-Western. Malala's doctors say she's in a critical stage after part of her skull was removed to help treat swelling in her brain. Well, to talk about the attack, I'm now joined in the studio by Abbas Nasir, former editor of Pakistan's newspaper.The. Mr. Nasir, thank you very much for joining us this evening. Looking at the pictures of the crowds, the thousands of people who turned out to support her in Karachi, do you think this was a wake-up call that Pakistan needed?
Julie, I'd like to believe it's like that because it's been a long time coming, and I think the outpouring of rage and anger and support for Malala and the anger over the incident was quite spontaneous and countrywide. But the problem with the traumatized nation like Pakistan is, completely overwhelmed, overrun by suicide bombings and one conflict or the other, that resilience of even this resistance, is not very permanent. So although I'd like to believe, and I've written about it, that this could mark a turning point, but, doubts linger in my mind because we've just let it fester for years and years.
Is this less a problem particular to the Taliban, do you think, and more one of an inherently, how can I say, anti-female culture?
It's a bit of both, the tribal traditions, there are archaic feudal traditions, and now Taliban wish to enforce a view of women's right, which possibly didn't even exist in the Prophet's time, and it's evolved since with heavy cultural and tribal influences, from Yemen to Saudi Arabia to other parts of the Gulf. And it is relatively new to Pakistan, to the subcontinent, if you like, because, there was a great Sufi tradition of the mystic, of talking about love and amity. And now you've got this completely alien Islam being shoved down your throats. That, sort of the nation is in a bit of a state of shock. People are religious and they're conservative. But, if you go into the rural areas, you seldom see veiled women. Women work alongside men, in agriculture. And that's 60% of the population.
Malala's teacher said the government has to do its part to support her and other girls like her. Why has the government up till now not done more in this vein, or has it, and we're just not seeing the results?
I think it's a very complicated story because, the larger picture, these are very small bits of a very large jigsaw puzzle, and we seldom see the whole picture together. The American troops are in Afghanistan. Pakistan feels it's got a stake in Afghanistan. So I think the drift has been there for years and years because the Pakistani military, which calls all shots related to security of the country, it's not the democratic government which does, has been ambivalent because they feel post-US and NATO withdrawal from Afghanistan, perhaps some of these elements will be its allies in Afghanistan. But now there's a growing body of opinion in the country which says that for tomorrow's Afghanistan and your strategic interests there, you're sacrificing the future of your children at home today, which is, not wise and not sustainable either.
Just going back to Malala for a second, what do you think will happen if and when she recovers? Will it be safe enough for her to stay in Pakistan?
It's a very difficult question to say. I mean, her profile, she's iconic now, she's instantly recognizable. And mind you, the people who shot her knew exactly where to find her. I don't think the government has the ability, even if it's so desired, to offer her 24/7 protection. But when you talk about a problem like that, like a lot of girls, what really, really gives me optimism, I've become a pessimist following Pakistan over all these years, is that every single student in her school was willing to appear on camera and say that they cannot defeat us, we'll educate ourselves, and each one of us is Malala. Now, these are very brave words of 14-year-olds to say when confronted with armed zealots. Like we were discussing just before we came on air, that there's been another attack near Peshawar, the provincial capital, in which 6 policemen have been beheaded, I'm told. and the militants, relentlessly strike. It's about time the country's military made up its mind whether its strategic interest in distant Afghanistan in the distant future is more important, or stability of the country itself today.
Mr. Nasir, thank you so much for joining us with your thoughts. Thank you.